Total Drama All-Stars is definitely one of, if not the most controversial season of Total Drama amongst the core fandom. The only other season being debatably worse is Total Drama Pahkitew Island. I did a video in the past explaining why I thought Pahkitew Island was the worst of the competition seasons, but All-Stars was damn close to being worse in my opinion. The saddest part is, this season had the potential to be the best season considering how stacked the overall cast was, albeit small, it was still stacked. So how about discussing some changes that realistically could have been made to Total Drama All-Stars that I think would have improved on the season's quality immensely. Although Total Drama All-Stars brought back many fan-favorite characters from both the first-generation cast and second-generation cast, like Heather, Duncan, Zoe, and Cameron, there was one other character in particular that I feel like did not qualify as being a true All-Star contestant, and that's Sam the Gamer. Sam isn't a bad character or anything. He's a nice guy who was able to hold his own in challenges at certain points in Revenge of the Island, and genuinely loved Dakota for who she was and not for how just she looked or how rich she was. But considering how early he was eliminated during his first season, I really don't believe he was worthy of being part of the cast. I mean, Sam was the only contestant to compete in All-Stars that never made it to the team merger section of the competition. Everyone else who competed in All-Stars got there at least once during the times they've previously competed. Someone like Brick would have been a way better choice than Sam. Not only would Brick's personality fit in with the hero team perfectly, but he made it further than Sam in Revenge of the Island and has much better character traits, at least to me. It felt like the only reason Sam was even brought back for All-Stars was to be a comedic punching bag on the hero team. Nothing more, nothing less. With Dakota out of the picture, his character became miles less interesting than his previous season. Whereas if Brick returned, his rivalry with the villain team member Joe would have likely sparked up again. I would have loved to see Brick completely dominate her in the Leech Ball challenge, being the core reason she was eliminated, you know, something like that. Especially after putting up with all her crap in Revenge of the Island, that would have been so cool to see. Of course, Anne Maria or Dakota Zoid are also solid options, both making it further than Sam as well. However, the biggest part of Anne Maria's character was to create a wedge between Mike and Zoe, creating a love triangle, pouncing onto Vito anytime he took over, and Vito of course going along with it. But with Mike gaining back the driver's seat to his own brand at the end of his Revenge of the Island elimination episode, Vito would not take over the body unless Mike absolutely needed him to do so, thus making Anne Maria's character borderline pointless if she were an All-Stars. I guess you could say, why not have her replace Lindsay instead of Sam to have someone else just be eliminated instantly? Well, if they did that, the cast of characters wouldn't be evenly split into 7 from each generation anymore. Having that 50-50 split between the cast was one of the few good things All-Stars did in my opinion. And, you know, the same thing applies to Dakota. It was dope she was able to find true love with someone who doesn't want her for her money or looks, but knowing how Total Drama works, her mutant form would have been the main aspect of her character 24/7, as in 99% of her screen time would be going on a destructive rampage and nothing really else. And not having Sam present would make her character less interesting by default if she were to be there instead of him. The second major change I would make is giving Alejandro a brain.
Why, if I had a brain, I could while away the hours.
How on planet Earth Scott made it further than Alejandro in All-Stars will never fail to annoy me. Look, I get people were gunning for Alejandro pretty hard since the beginning, you know, sending him to Boney Island a lot and even getting the majority vote in episode 6, only to be saved by the Chris Invincibility statue. It just sucked seeing him get toyed with so easily during his final moments in the competition. You know, you'd think after all he accomplished in World Tour he wouldn't have been bested as easily as he was during his elimination episode, then not even really redeeming himself when brought back to the finale. It felt like the only reason he and Heather were brought back was just to show off they were dating, and how they'd still want to kill each other if given the opportunity to win the $1 million again. Like, okay dude, sure. Why not? I will give him credit for being the one to get the video of Mal for Zoe to eventually find, but honestly, she shouldn't have needed the video to figure it out anyway, which is a good segue into my next topic, giving Zoe a brain.
And my head, I'd be scratching while my thoughts were busy hatching if I only had a brain.
It's ridiculous how she didn't find out Mal was in total control until the semifinals episode of the season. It took her 6 episodes, bro. 6. How is the person who's closer to Mike than anyone else on the island slower to figure out the truth than Alejandro? He didn't even meet him until last season. When she was ignorant to Mike's BPD in Revenge of the Island, it was a lot more tolerable, especially after not knowing him that well yet, combined with him always playing off every instance as him just being a method actor. So the fact that she's known about his BPD since his Revenge of the Island elimination episode, why did it take so long for her to figure out the truth? It shouldn't have needed to be spoon-fed to her like that. That kind of ignorance became super annoying after each passing episode until she found out. But even when she eventually found out, it didn't even feel that good as a viewer because I knew the finale was right after this. The same lack of intelligence can be applied to people like Heather and Cameron as well.
I would dance and be merry.
Nope, not doing that anymore. That's enough. I understand the plan was to have Alejandro get revenge on Heather for how she defeated him in World Tour, but having it be done in a manner where Heather should have easily been able to avoid the situation was so bad. Alejandro was the only other person with her during this challenge. Like, no duh, he'll be the one to most likely find it if you hide it in an area where you were just with him in. Oh my god. And before that, most of her screen time was just spent arguing with Joe. Now for how Courtney was handled. Having her backtrack from resolving her conflict with Gwen to secretly being out for herself the whole time was so dumb. It felt like a random excuse to put up on screen just so she could be eliminated in the same episode she revealed these intentions. And her character just kind of ended there, which sucks because she was a really solid character throughout her previous seasons. Annoying at times, sure, but still good. As a first-time watcher of All-Stars while it was first airing, it made me really happy to see Courtney and Gwen make up. It felt super overdue and deserved. To backtrack on development like that is just so awful. Either make it to where Courtney reveals this plan of hers sooner in the season, or don't have her make the plan at all. It's as simple as that. Next is fixing Duncan's character because, man, there were several things wrong with him in All-Stars. First was him still liking Courtney all along while he and Gwen were together, or at least developing feelings for her again once All-Stars ran a little. I just don't understand it, dude. There was zero type of setup for this. It just out of nowhere wanting to get her attention, like out of spite. Even asking Gwen if she thought Courtney was watching them do stuff together. I couldn't care less if these two broke up. I really don't care who's dating who that much, but the way it was handled was just bad. It could have been done so much smoother, you know, like Duncan actually being honest and down to earth with Gwen instead of trying to do things with her just to spite Courtney. Like, just be straight up with her, dude. And plus, the segue into Gwen and Courtney making up could have just started better as a result of this change, in my opinion. Then there's, of course, his past with Mal/Mike, which might as well have not even been mentioned at all since it wasn't developed on in the slightest. The only build-up this had was Duncan seemingly knowing Mike from quote-unquote somewhere, but the viewers didn't know where until the end of episode 6, when Duncan remembered they were in juvie together. Okay, so we learned that. So let's proceed to never have these two characters interact with each other at all up until Duncan's elimination and keep it that way. How great is that idea? Up top, fellas. Cameron getting booted before he learned about Mal being in control is one thing, but Duncan too? What was the point of the mini alliance with Zoe if it was going to be thrown out the window just so he can prove to others he doesn't care about authority still? Come on, man. I hope blowing up a house was worth it, homie. Like, why did he even care so much anyway? Like, as far as I'm aware, people didn't find him less threatening as a competitor just because he was showing emotion. It's not like he didn't show any emotion all the way back in Island when DJ's bunny situation happened. Like, this isn't new. They're acting like him showing compassion is this new foreign concept in his character. It's just so weird to me. I feel like I gotta mention Gwen in at least some capacity too, because even though seeing her and Courtney be friends is cool and all, my lord, did she handle things poorly on her part. I know I just gave Duncan crap about how he was acting towards the end of he and Gwen's relationship, but it felt like for the entirety of All-Stars, Gwen wanted to be friends with Courtney more than she wanted to keep her relationship with Duncan. So there could have been the option of Gwen just ending things with him if the friendship with Courtney meant that much to her. Honestly, I feel like most hypothetical scenarios would have been better than what they actually ended up airing on television. This definitely wouldn't be a Total Drama All-Stars video if I didn't mention Mal, of course. I'm gonna keep it a brick. I feel like I've said my piece with this character so many times in other videos that it's starting to become pretty redundant to me, so I'm not gonna go super into detail on this point. He had solid build-up to his introduction as the main villain, I'll give him that. This man was teased all the way back in Revenge of the Island, for crying out loud. I can at least say he was better than Scarlet in that aspect. However, piss poor execution all around. The issue I had with Duncan's past can be easily applied to Mal too. Tons of lost potential with this character. Having no solid motivation behind his actions, just being evil because he enjoys other people's pain. A very bare bones villain that had traits from previous villains, but wasn't able to apply these traits as well as these previous villains. Though Mal still got away with it since he's the main antagonist and has to be dominating for a designated period of time. It's just how it works. Honestly, not sure what they did with Sierra either. The Cody obsession became even worse than ever since she had to deal with him not being on the island, so she used Cameron as a way to express her feelings to Cody, pretending they were genuinely for Cam. I was never super big on this trait of hers to begin with back in World Tour, but it felt so much worse in All-Stars because not only did they just make her even crazier than before by acting like this, but she didn't have many outstanding performances and challenges this season either. She was an extremely powerful player in World Tour, but it felt like she got a lot weaker this season. And they seemed to use her obsession with Cody as an excuse for this, but that was never an issue during World Tour though. Like, was it seriously because he wasn't physically there? Even if that's the case, I'm not a fan of how it was handled. A bigger cast would have been great too. The fact that there were only 14 contestants for an all-star season seems small in my opinion. If they really wanted to keep Sam, they could have just put Brick and Anne Maria into the mix to keep the number of Revenge of the Island members still even. You know, put Brick on heroes and Anne Maria on villains. And then add Owen, Lashana, or Justin onto the OG cast. Owen in particular got hard robbed. He and Chris are like the main faces of the Total Total Drama franchise. Anytime there was promotional stuff going around for the first 3 seasons, usually one of or both of those characters would be the center faces of said promotion. Didn't Owen always make it into the mergers too? Well, I guess Action was a bit of a gray area, but 2 out of 3 guaranteed is still pretty impressive. I'm ride or die for Owen, baby. Let's go. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know in the comments down below if there's anything you'd like to change about Total Drama All-Stars that I didn't already mention in this video. I'd love to know your thoughts. And of course, if you enjoyed the video, be sure to leave a like down below. It helps out a ton. But for now, I will see you guys next time. Peace out. Take care. Bye-bye.